and now he's dead. And so I just, you know, Jake, I got to tell you, man, some people have it in them to do the right thing and some people don't. And I'm afraid in the aftermath of this, I mean, we've seen members of Congress nearly assassinated. We've seen the president nearly assassinated. Charlie is dead. Everybody needs to take stock of their own thoughts right now and think before they speak, is my...
Scott Jennings really broke down on air with Jake Tapper, and that's not something you see often from someone in his position. This wasn't just punditry, it was raw emotion over the shocking, fatal attack on conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. Over on MN News, the framing was clear. Jennings stood out as one of the very few establishment voices actually willing to show some humanity in the middle of a tragedy. Because at the end of the day, Kirk wasn't just a political figure, he was a husband, a father, and someone who fought for free speech in places where it was under attack. And yet, while some Democratic leaders at least had the sense to issue the standard condolences, plenty of people in their base couldn't resist celebrating online. Jennings pointed right to that toxic reaction as a dangerous sign, warning that this moment might actually be a tipping point in American politics.
And I'll be honest with you, I am in utter disbelief at this. I sat in this room last summer, the night they shot the president, and now they shot Charlie. And I'm not sure it's safe to be an outspoken conservative walking around in America right now. And there's a lot of people out there who are in absolute shock and are horrified by this. And I don't know what's going to happen other than to tell you that this nation is in desperate need of prayer and some kind of an intervention. Because when you can't, I mean, what was Charlie doing? Making a speech, engaging in rhetoric, having a debate. That's the bedrock of our nation. And now you can't go out in public and engage in speech. It's the opposite of violence. Speech is the opposite. And so, I don't know what's going to happen to Charlie. All I can really think about is his poor wife and those two babies. And so, I think the best thing any of us can do right now is just pray for his recovery and pray for their comfort, because God help us, we're in a bad place.
Kirk's entire life's work was about making sure conservatives had a platform on college campuses, places where free speech was constantly being challenged. And yet, the twisted response from some online voices was to treat his death like a reason to celebrate, which is not politics in any meaningful sense. It's just cruelty and evil. Sadly, this sort of reaction is becoming far too common, almost a reflection of how toxic our national discourse has become. The very fact that anyone could laugh about this or try to justify it only reinforces Scott Jennings' warning about the dangerous level of rhetoric poisoning the country. It's especially telling when the same establishment media figures who once obsessed over every mean tweet suddenly decide that tone and rhetoric don't matter when it's their own side fueling the fire. And in the end, the contrast is clear. When something happens to a conservative leader, the rules are conveniently rewritten, and that hypocrisy is impossible to ignore.
Well, a couple things. Number one, I think people are already saying things they shouldn't be saying. Joe Walsh is a good example of that.
What did you know?
I mean, today, a 31-year-old father of two and a husband is dead. There's really nothing more to say than this is unacceptable and it's wrong. There's no both sidesing it. A man is dead. And so that's number one. I've heard J.B. Pritzker blame Donald Trump today. I don't understand. Our friend is dead, and we've got people out here who just can't stop grinding political axes. And so I fear it's going to keep happening, and we'll keep tabs on it, of course. But my strong advice would be to put your phone down, take a step back, and don't do it. This is we've crossed some kind of line in the country today. I don't know what that looks like on the other side. People are gutted, people are angry, people are in shock. What was Charlie Kirk's sin? He went on a college campus to debate people about ideas. He wasn't a violent person. He engaged in rhetoric and speech and debate. That's the essence of American political culture. And we'll never forget Charlie for being that next generation of conservative leader, rallying people when you might not have thought it was cool to do so, but he did it anyway. And he made it cool. And he made it, honestly, Charlie Kirk was a destination for a lot of young conservatives, and we're going to miss him.
The painful truth is that Charlie Kirk rose to prominence because he reached an entire generation of young Americans with unapologetic messages about faith, liberty, and open debate. That was precisely what his critics despised most. They couldn't match his influence in the free marketplace of ideas. They resented that he was winning arguments, rallying crowds, and inspiring students where their own ideology failed. The left simply could not tolerate his success. And it is impossible to ignore the reality that Charlie would still be alive today had he not been a prominent, effective, and unashamed conservative Christian voice standing firm against their agenda.
Well, Charlie was one of the most unique and special people in the conservative movement today. What he was able to build, the people he was able to organize, was just so large and powerful. He was able to convince people to get involved in politics that might not have otherwise done so. When you look at what he did on these campuses and in these public events, thousands of people were showing up, not for a rock concert, not for a sporting event, but for American politics. He inspired all these kids to be involved in their country. This is unequivocally a good legacy. He was also a godly person. He spoke about his faith openly. He was unapologetic about his views. I think what's been said about Charlie having his finger on the pulse of the MAGA base is true. But what's also true is that he was enormously influential in that when an issue was emerging, when something was happening and people were sorting out their own views on it, how should I feel about this? Charlie was one of the first people they turned to see where's Charlie going to be on this issue, and how's he processing it, how's he analyzing it, and how does he think the young conservative should view whatever the issue happened to be. So it wasn't that he was just reflecting people, he was leading people, he was influencing people. When he did something, when he said something, when he took a stand on an issue, you can bet that people would move. And so what he did to organize these young kids, to bring conservative values and views into public spaces that aren't normally thought of as places where conservatives would gather, was enormously courageous. It took a lot of damn guts to do it.
What's truly staggering is that Charlie Kirk was never the radical firebrand his critics painted him to be. He was a grounded, principled conservative who valued open debate, respectful dialogue, and genuine civility. Turning Point wasn't created to silence opponents. It was built on the foundation of free inquiry and the marketplace of competing ideas. And yet, despite that, the left relentlessly smeared him while he lived and even stooped to mocking his death. Social media filled with vile posts cheering, calling it one less fascist. TMZ staff were caught celebrating. A university dean was even removed after publicly joining in. This isn't both sides, no matter how desperately establishment media tries to blur the truth. The reality is clear. This was targeted, not random. Dismissing it as anything else only deepens the division and drives Americans further apart. So here's the question. Does this mark the destruction of moderate, civil conservatism in America, or will it finally force the left to confront where their reckless rhetoric is leading? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown valuable, be sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps us fight back against the noise. Until next time, this is MN News signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless.